Hey folks, Pastor Jordan here bringing you this week's sermon preview on this absolutely gorgeous Thursday morning. I hope you're all outside. I don't know if you can be, but I hope you are because it's an absolutely gorgeous day. I'm going to share with you this week's sermon preview as we continue through the book of Jeremiah, but first I have a couple of important announcements for you. This past Sunday, our consistory had our stated session for the month of June, and in that we voted and passed a motion that has a couple of important elements that you'll be interested in. And that we're very excited about. The first one is that we've lifted our COVID restrictions. So there are no longer any restrictions here at church that have to do with COVID. With one exception, we're following the state and the CDC as they say that they're still recommending that those who have not been fully vaccinated are responsible for wearing a mask. However, we're not going to be checking or asking or in any way inquiring about anyone's vaccination status. So that's up to individuals to decide that for themselves. So that's where we're at now, and we're just very excited to be able to be back and to be able to gather and to sing. Also, in that we voted kind of separately from COVID things to continue outdoor worship in the summertime. Summertime worship here, as you know, has always been a little bit more on the casual side, and last year we were forced outside. But we realized that it's kind of fun out here to have worship around the gazebo. And we also realized that it's a wonderful way to honor the James Zahner Memorial Pavilion that was given in his honor as a gift was made by him to create a space where people could gather and have fellowship and community and worship. And so we want to do that while the weather is nice. This is a beautiful little hillside, and it's a wonderful setting in which to have worship. So for the months of the summer through Labor Day weekend, we will be worshiping outdoors, weather permitting. When we worship indoors, there are just a couple things that I wanted to let you know about. First of all, for those of you with children, we understand, children under the age of 12 are not able to receive the vaccine. So we're going to be leaving it up to you as a family if you'd like your children to wear a mask or not. That's totally up to you. The consistory didn't want to make any requirements on that. And so we have voted in that motion to allow families to decide for themselves if their children will be wearing masks or not. That's up to you. Also, anyone who feels more comfortable wearing a mask, you're more than welcome to do so. Maybe you need to wear a mask for other reasons besides COVID. You might be immunocompromised. You might be having a cold, or your doctor has you on medication that puts you at more risks, anything like that. So if you feel more comfortable wearing a mask, that's totally okay, and no questions asked on that either. Along with that, the consistory decided in this motion to create a section that's optional in our sanctuary when we worship indoors that will be socially distanced and masked section. The reason for that is simply out of Christian hospitality, to try to create space in worship where people feel comfortable, coming from all places. And so we realize that there are still some folks who may feel more comfortable socially distanced and wearing a mask. And so for at least the time being, we're going to reserve some pews in the back of the church that will be the socially distanced mask section. That'll be the only place in church where masks are required. Simply out of an act of hospitality, to try to accommodate someone who might come to worship but would feel more comfortable in a position like that. And we realize that there may be many of those of you who would feel more comfortable, not even related to COVID, in that situation. As I mentioned before, some folks are immunocompromised or have other disorders that make them more susceptible to simple common colds and things like that. And so we're going to do that for a little while, and then we'll sort of reevaluate as the consistory continues meeting going forward to see if it's something that is still useful and that we would like to continue to offer. But it's an optional section. No one will be required to go and sit in there, but we will require anybody who chooses to sit in there wear a mask out of hospitality for the others that might sit in that section. So those are the bits of news that we have to share with you. Also, we're bringing fellowship time back, so I'm very excited about that, because you know how I feel about pub cheese and deviled eggs. So let's just get those eggs deviling, shall we? And let's have some fellowship time. Steve Camino's our chair of fellowship, and he's going to be bringing us together for a fellowship hour this coming Sunday. He's got some folks that have volunteered to do that. We'll be gathering right out here around the gazebo for some snacks and fellowship following worship. So come to worship, both hungry in spirit and hungry in body, and you shall be fed, my brothers and sisters. We're very excited about all of that. And seemingly leading right into that is where we go this week in Jeremiah. We're talking about a letter that he wrote, a particular part of his book that he wrote that was a letter that went to the exiles that were exiled in Babylon. And it talks about comfort for the exiles, about hope for the exiles, about how their hope might be restored, how the good news that the Lord has promised that community might play out in their lives. And so in many ways we celebrate this week hope for exiles as we think about our own situation, as we're coming through to the other side of this pandemic. We have incurred many injuries along the way. We've lost a lot along the way. And as many of us may have felt exiled, or maybe even still do, now as we come out of that, we turn our minds and our hearts back to the hopes that we've been promised, the reasons that we follow this faith, the gospel of Jesus Christ, the promise of the coming kingdom of heaven. These are the things that we hope for. And so that's what we'll be looking at this Sunday as we gather for worship right here around this gazebo. So I look forward to seeing you all. I invite you to come to worship. It's just a beautiful time outside here, and we've got great weather in the forecast for Sunday. So I hope you can come and be with us, and I look forward to seeing you then. May the Lord be with you, my brothers and sisters, and I hope you have a blessed Thursday. God bless.